Spooky Literature Club. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is my third book review. It is me, Harkness. And, alright, so as you know, today we'll be having a book review. I'm starting to enjoy making book reviews on YouTube, and I feel like this could be a hallmark and something that I could keep doing in my channel. So, anyways, the books that we're going to be reviewing today are three modern classics that are worth your time and basically your money. First off, we have Fahrenheit 451. Very controversial, I know. I'll tell you later. Next up is a bit of a hard read, but once once you're able to sink your teeth very well into it, I think you will enjoy it. It is none other than Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. And last but not least, The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. First off, we're going to start with Fahrenheit 451. Fahrenheit 451 was written by Ray Bradbury during the 1960s. During the 1960s, post-World War II, there was a huge spike in anti-communist rhetoric, because we all know the Cold War was on swing and America was afraid of any communist sympathizers and spies. So there was a crackdown on literature and art. So Ray Bradbury saw this, and it reminded him of fascist book burnings a long time ago, and also the burning of the Library of Alexandria. He was also inspired because one day while he was walking, he saw a lady carrying a radio with her. She was so absorbed into the radio, it was almost like she didn't care about a thing. So he decided to write the book Fahrenheit 451. Fahrenheit 451 tells the story of, I was about to say Ray Bradbury, tells the story of Guy Montag. Guy Montag is a firefighter. But what does he do as a firefighter? Well, he sets books on fire. That's his job. His job is that of censorship and destruction of all knowledge. So you see, Guy Montag, he he's okay with his job. He finds joy into his job. He's all right with burning books. But then what really changed his mind were two events in particular. One day he meets this neighborhood girl. I forgot her name. I think it's Clarice. There we go. One day he meets Clarice, and Clarice just lays down on him what's wrong with society, and that made what do you call that again? That made Guy Montag think. It's like, she does make sense. And one day she just disappears, and Mildred attempts suicide, which makes him even more doubtful and fearful. But ultimately, the straw that broke the camel's back was when, while during his normal duties, he was about to burn down a house that contained mountains and mountains of books. Now, there's this one old lady who was there. She was supposed to be taken away, but she was just there. So they started dousing the house with kerosene. But the old lady stood there like, no, I'll do your job for you. So she sets herself on fire along with her books. Now, Guy Montag starts to tell himself, why in the world would this lady die for a piece of paper? Then he starts reading, which is illegal in this dystopian future. And before you know it, Guy Montag becomes a champion of knowledge, and he tries to reverse all of the wrongdoings and tries to rebuild humanity. So that's basically the basic premise of the book. It's a very short read. You'll be able to read this in one afternoon like Animal Farm. However, this book has some flaws. I hated the ending. I think the ending was absolute fucking horseshit. Lord of the Flies, I'll agree with my brother. It had a bit of a dissatisfying ending, but this one really takes the cake. And second, Ray Bradbury gets preachy at times. The best way how I could describe in writing good dystopian fiction is in 1984, where George Orwell doesn't outright tell you censorship is bad. He just lays it onto you. The show don't tell. But at times it feels very, very preachy. Of course, book burning is bad. Whoop-de-doo. However, another very important theme about Fahrenheit 451 is about censorship. Like the reason why firefighters are burning down these books, is that the people are afraid of knowledge. They're afraid of getting their feelings hurt. That's why they sent out the firefighters. If you think about it, Fahrenheit 451 does. Ray Bradbury was somewhat right about what would happen in the this modern generation. Sometimes we're just so afraid of facts that we'd let our own feelings dictate it, and that's kind of scary. Where censorship and just surrounding yourself in an echo chamber, um, and you not being able to hear the ideas of others. Overall, the story is great, although I have a few gripes with this book. But once you're willing to look past those imperfections, I think we could all appreciate what the book has to say. This book may just be about a book about burning books, but trust me, it's much more deeper than this. This is gonna have to be my lowest rated book out of 5. I'm gonna have to give it a 2.8 out of 5. Sorry, Ray Ray. Book 2. Book 2 is a very special book to me. Let me tell you a story, dear viewer. When I was around 12 to 13 years old, obviously, until this very day, I love playing video games. But one day, on the pirate and on my on the pirated discs there, I spotted the game Spec Ops: The Line. I decided to install it, give it a try. Whatever, I don't care. Back then I didn't know Steam was a thing, but now I do, and I'm a good guy now. So, I played Spec Ops: The Line, and when I started playing it, I was like, oh dear God, it's like a Gears of War ripoff. So I didn't pay much to it. Put the game down again. Then, while I was browsing the internet, I saw a Watch Mojo top 10 list, top 10 most disturbing things that happened in game. And I watched it and I saw Spec Ops: The Line. I spoiled myself and I was like, huh, interesting. Okay, I'll give it a shot. But boy, I wasn't prepared for the ending. Jesus Christ. I wish I didn't spoil myself though. Spec Ops: The Line is a very special game to me. Why do I bring up a game with a book? Because Spec Ops: The Line was actually inspired by Apocalypse Now, which is a film about this Vietnam War vet who goes insane and looks for. Well, listen, Spec Ops: The Line is a story about a dude named Captain Martin Walker, who travels to Dubai to look for the elusive yet very, very respectable John Conrad, Colonel John Conrad. You see? Joseph Conrad. Also, apologies, there's a fucking fiesta at the other side. I'm fucking annoyed. Anyways, Spec Ops: The Line was inspired by Apocalypse Now, and Apocalypse Now follows this U.S. Army soldier looking for, who do you call that dude again? Kurtz. Colonel Kurtz. And Apocalypse Now was inspired by Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, a story about a man who goes down to the river of the Congos looking for a man named Kurtz, an ivory trader named Kurtz. This book is a book about those fucking fiesta people. This book is about the darkness that dwells within the hearts of every single man. This is almost like a novelization of the id. That's how I could say. Let me give you a bit of backstory. Joseph Conrad and Carl Jung both went to Africa, alright? Hear me out. When both men went to Africa, they both described their experiences as something weird, almost dreamlike. Oh, it was almost like a fever dream. Days felt like hours, and sometimes hours felt like days. It drove these two men insane. almost to the brink of insanity. But then they finally left Africa, thank God. And then Carl Jung would then publish his works about the id, the human mind, the darkness within human minds. And in the meantime, Joseph Conrad would write about this book. So, in a way, these two men somewhat share the same thing. And synopsis of the plot: Marlowe is a man, no, a sailor. It starts out in the River Thames in Britain, and then he's like, "We have a job. We're gonna look for this ivory trader named I was about to say Conrad. Jesus Christ, Spec Ops. This We're gonna look for this ivory trader named Kurtz." And when they start asking people about Kurtz as they're moving up into the Congo, they soon find out how well respected this man was before he went savage. Eventually, Marlowe comes to find out that even the colonizers are savages themselves. This book is a critique of colonization and not just about the darkness of human hearts. Basically, even if those British or Belgians, I don't know, those colonizers call themselves as civilized, the way how they mistreated those people is so sad and terrible. As I said, even if you call yourself civilized, everyone has this darkness within their hearts, this id, this evil, the one that seeks violence. So, it's a very dark book, lots of death. However, I recommend you read this book. It's pretty good. And after you read this book, I suggest you pick up Spec Ops the Line, especially if you play video games. Trust me, nothing will prepare you for this unless you spoiled yourself. So yeah, I am a bit biased into this book because of my personal connection to it aside from 1984. But okay, I'm gonna have to give this book a 3.8 out of 5. It's really good. Highly suggest you read it and play Spec Ops or watch Apocalypse Now. I think the director was Francis Ford Coppola. I can't remember. Never watched Apocalypse Now. Book 3. Book 3, in terms of story, my favorite book of all time has to be 1984. But in terms of story, instead of... In world building, 1984 is really good. But in terms of story, I think this one utterly crushes it. It has really interesting characters, really interesting motivations, and the twist ending, oh my god. It is none other than The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. If you plan to buy this book, what the fuck are you doing? Buy this. No, really. Go. I'll wait. Alright, stay. If you plan to buy this book, do not buy the Penguin Library copy. The printing material of this paperback is absolute jack shit. You're better... Collins Classics is actually selling A Picture of Dorian Gray. However, the quality of the cover is much better. Apparently, and not only that, here's the most pathetic part. The Collins Classic is only 99 pesos, which is almost like $1 and a few cents. And these motherfuckers had the balls to charge 300. I didn't know about it until I went to another bookstore and I saw it for sale and I was like, motherfuckers. They fucking swindled me out of my money. Anyways, I digress. The Picture of Dorian Gray talks about Dorian Gray. Now, Dorian Gray, my man, is so handsome, so magnificent, so beautiful. And in the start, he is having a portrait done by Sir Basil. Sir Basil is a talented artist. And over and by the side is Lord Henry Walton. Now Lord Henry looks at Dorian and is like, "Ah, Dorian, my boy. One day you're gonna grow old, you will lose your beautiful face. Chase a life of luxury, chase the life of hedonism, because before you know it, you got nothing." Looks is all that's going to you, my friend. Something along the lines of like that. And Dorian takes Lord Henry's words really down to heart. And Basil really has this admiration for Dorian, and it somewhat gets homoerotic. Fun fact: Oscar Wilde was accused of homosexuality, I believe. Let me check. I think that's why that it's his last. Dublin. He wrote children's stories. A picture of Dorian Gray. Ah, I was correct. So this book was actually used against Oscar Wilde. Back then, homosexuality was outlawed. Whoop-de-doo. Um, so they saw him doing. They used this book against him because Basil worships Dorian in a very homoerotic way. So, anyways, Basil finally finishes up the portrait, and Dorian looks at it. It is absolutely magnificent. It's beautiful. Now Dorian collapses in front of the phone and is like, "Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so perfect, Dorian. I wish I don't want to grow old. I don't want to be ugly. I want the photo to age instead of me. I want to stay young forever." However, what Dorian doesn't know is that his wish does come true, and in a way, the photo represents his morality. A bit of a spoiler, my friends, but Dorian is quite a controversial man, and slowly but surely, his morality and humanity is torn bit by bit after each person dies. Poor Sybil. She didn't deserve that. Anyways, bit by bit, his humanity is chipped away, and the photograph, in my humble opinion, represents either his humanity or his what do you call that again? His morality. There we go. He doesn't change. He doesn't look old. He doesn't age a single day. But every evil deed he does, the photo slowly but surely becomes more and more corrupted, evil, and disheveled. So, yeah, I'm gonna leave you that to it. It's a thriller. It's really good. Unfortunately, we won't get to see any more of Oscar Wilde's books. It's his only book, and it kind of makes you think that if he just got the chance to shine a bit some more, I think we would have gotten more classics out of him. But unfortunately, we're living in this timeline. Anyways, 4 out of 5. Really, 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 really good. However, it doesn't have the social impact that Animal Farm and 1984 has, or The Stranger. But nonetheless, really good book. Go read it. It's worth your time. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed my book review for today. And I just want to make an announcement. I just got over 46, I think, 46 subscribers. I'm so happy. I've got a video planned out after this book review, 2 videos. One is I love it if we made it, but instead it puts everything that I fear about the future, global warming, never-ending war in the Middle East, you know, fun stuff. And second, the long-awaited LCT AK-74 review. I already have a script, I already know what to talk about. Unfortunately, I lack gameplay footage, and I want it to be stalker themed. However, I am starting to be more partial into just making it normal, like the way who do you call that dude again? Adam Delta 1 would do it. Anyways, thank you so much for watching my video for tonight. Um, I'm really glad that I'm really glad that people turn into my YouTube channel, even if it's a small following. To you, the 46 subscribers and the newcomers, thank you so much for having interest in my little, um, you know, God, I'm out of words to say. I should have not done it impromptu style. Anyways, remember, folks, Life is always good. Make the best out of it. Until next time.